In this video, we are going to create a full stack CRUD application using .NET and React. We are going to make this CRUD application, and here we have applied React router. We can visit different routes, and this one is our person management component. We can add new person, Jake Doe. Let's add it. You can see it is added here. We can also edit it Jake1 to 1, and it is getting edited on instant. And we can also delete this thing. That's we are going to build. I will put source code of the application in the description box, and click on that link and it will open the GitHub repository. And in this repository you will find this resources folder, and either you can use it in the project, like you can directly open this thing and paste this thing here, and or you can download this resources folder from here, download raw file, because this folder is needed in the later part of the tutorial, and I have provided you some HTML for this application that I'm not going to write manually. I'm just going to copy it from this folder. So you need to download this folder, either download the whole folder or you can just clone the repository or download the whole repository if you need. Do whatever might suits you. Let's move ahead. So let's talk about the tool and tech we need. First of all, we need operating system, and you can use Linux, Mac or Windows, whatever you prefer. The next thing is we need to install .NET and SDK, but if you already have installed Visual Studio 2022, then .NET and SDK is shipped with this IDE, so you do not need to explicitly install them. And if you do not have installed it, then you must have installed these SDKs, and you can check them here. So just type here .NET -that version, and if it is saying 9.01302 and anything greater than 9, then you are fine. Next thing we need is Node.js with npm, which is a package manager, and Node.js have many package managers like yarn, pnpm. So make sure you are using npm, because I'm using npm in this tutorial. And when you install the Node.js, then you have an option to select the package managers. So make sure you have choose the npm, and you can check if node is installed or not, like this. Mine is installed. Next thing we can check version of npm, so mine is 11 point something. That's good. And the last thing we need a code editor where we can write some code. So I'm going to use VS Code here. So make sure you have installed C# DevKit extension that is needed for creating your REST APIs. I'm going Visual Studio Code for two reasons. One, it is a cross-platform IDE, so anyone who wants to build C# web APIs can follow this tutorial. And one more reason is that I also have to create a client application, which is JavaScript application. So I can write my JavaScript application with VS Code, and I can also write my application with my backend application with VS Code. Let's create a new application. So first of all, let's create a new folder. So I'm going to type here mkdir .NET React CRUD. Okay, let's go here cd .NET React CRUD. Okay, let's clear this guy, and now we are going to create a new solution file. So let's create .NET new sln and output path, let's name it backend, and you can give it any meaningful name. So I'm just going with backend. Okay, now it will create a folder with name backend. So let's check here ls, and if you are using command prompt, then you can check it with dir command. So we have this backend folder. So let's move here side the backend. Okay, you can see we have backend.sln file. Now inside this folder we are going to create a new .NET application. So I'm going to type here .NET new web API, use controllers, and name of output folder. Let's name it also backend. Okay, so if I press enter here, it will create a new web API application with use controllers. If I do not use this flag, use controllers, then our application is going to be a minimal API application, which is a default template for web APIs. So make sure you have used this flag. But here I'm not going to create a web API project. It's WEP web API. Okay, that one. I'm not going to create a web API project. Instead, I'm going to create a blank web application. So .NET new web -o backend, and O means output path. So it will create a new project with name backend. Okay, so the template ASP.NET Core empty was created successfully. Let's check it. We also have a folder named backend, and now we need to register our application with this solution file. So .NET SLN add then I'm going to write here name of solution file, name of CS Frog file, which resides here inside the backend.cs proj. So if I type here back and press tab, then it will auto complete it. Then if I type here B, then it will also auto complete it. So you do not need to manually type, just type a letter and press tab. .NET SLN add backend CS proj, and our file is added to solution. Okay, so we are done with creating application. I'm going to move one step back. So I am in the root directory, and in this directory we will create a backend and front-end project. So I'm going to do few things here. First of all, I'm going to create a new gitignore file. So .NET new gitignore, it will create a new gitignore file, and you can check it, it won't be visible. So if you are using a git bash like me, which comes pre-installed with Git in Windows. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing, you should install a Git because it is going to be very helpful for you. So you can use git bash if you have installed Git for Windows. Just search here and git bash. And if you are using Windows 11, then this application named terminal, and this application terminal have a lot of features, like it can have multiple shells, like I have Windows PowerShell and command prompt, Azure Cloud Shell, git bash, and blah blah blah. So I have by default selected git bash. However, it is not necessary to use git bash, and if I type here this command, then it will show me the hidden files also. So here we have this gitignore file, and the reason I have created gitignore file in the root, because I'm going to share the gitignore file to both my backend and front-end application. And in this gitignore file I will also add some gitignore configuration for the React application. Okay, so let's type here git init. So if you are not using git, then you can leave these things, git init, okay, and git add, git commit m, feed initial commit. Okay, let's move to the backend folder. Okay, now you can open this application in the VS Code. For that, just click here, code dot, and you can go here in the desktop and you can see this application. We have this gitignore file, we have this backend folder, and inside the backend folder we have our project, and here is our solution file. So if you don't want to use Visual Studio Code, then you can also use Visual Studio. You just have to double click on this link, backend.sln, and this application will be opened in Visual Studio 2022. Okay, now let's open it in the VS Code. So just type code dot and it will open it. Okay, now our application is created. Let's close this thing, and okay, our projects are loading. It takes a while, not while, it takes a lot of time to load the project. Okay, now it's loaded, and now here you can see we have this explorer, which is inbuilt explorer of VS Code, but we also have this explorer, solution explorer, which comes if you have installed C# dev kit, which I have talked about in the starting of the video. Okay, now here we have this solution file. So let's talk about this application a little bit. First one, we have this program.cs file, and it is an entry point of our application. Application starts from here, and here we have created a builder, then we have created our app. In this section we define our services, which we haven't defined yet, and in this section we define our middlewares, and middlewares is a piece of code that runs between request and response. So whenever you make an HTTP request, those middleware are going to run. So right now we don't have any middleware. If we have, then we have to define here below this app, and it comes with the minimal API endpoint. So if I run this code, this application, then it will say hello world. I'm going to get rid of this also. Now we are good. Let's talk about this app settings.json, and app setting.json file where we configure our application settings, like we define our connection strings and JWT related things, our secrets, etc, etc. And we have two app settings here, app setting.json and app setting.development.json. So if you have defined a connection string here, and you also have defined connection string here. So in the development, it is going to pick those connection string from development file. In the production, those configuration file will come from the app settings.json. So if you have multiple connection string, like one for development and one for a production, then you need to define one here and one here, and they will be used according to the environment. Like in development environment, it will use development connection string. In the production environment, it will use the production string. And if you just have one connection string, then you must have defined it here. Okay, now we have this properties folder, and we have the launch setting.json file. Here we basically define the launch setting. It means in which URL our application will listen. So if we use the HTTP protocol, then our application will listen at this thing, this URL, and if you are using HTTPS, then our application is listening in this URL. So let's change it. You can also change it. So let's change it to 3000, which is basically used in Node applications. You can also do that. Okay, now we have these dependencies, which are the libraries that installed along with our application. Okay, so that's all about the file structure, and our file structure is very minimal because we have created the empty application. Okay, now we are going to use controller based APIs. For that, just type here builder.services.add controllers, and here we have registered our controller services. Then we have to register our middlewares. So app.use app.map controllers, I guess. Yeah, and we also have to create a new folder here. So just click on this icon, new folder, and it will create new file. Left one, right one will create new folder. I also want to show you one thing. If you want to search any file in this application, then just click here, and you can see here, where is it? Search and run commands, go to quick chat, run task, and more. Here go to file, and you can search any file like app settings. Okay, and you can just type control and P, or press them simultaneously. So press control P, search any file. Okay, now let's create a new folder, name it capital CONTROLLERS controllers. Here we will define our controllers. So let's create a new file here and select the API controller, and you can create the controller, but I'm not going to create controller yet. Maybe we can create in future. Let's create right now. Why in future? Let's create just now. So let's name it PersonForm, or we can pluralize it, PeopleController. So our web API controller is created. Let's delete this line and let's put a semicolon here so that you can get rid of these two parentheses. Okay, let's close this guy, let's close this guy. Now we are going to create a new folder, so let's name it models, and here we will define our models. So our model will be class and it will be person. Okay, let's remove that line. Now let's create few properties. So you can type prop, press tab, and it will create a property for you. So let's name it id. Okay, and let's copy, press Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and let's name it a string, first name and last name, and it is giving us some warning. So let's check what it is. Non-nullable property first name must contain a non-null value when existing constructor. So it basically is saying either make it nullable or define some values to it. So I'm going to define some values to it. So is string dot empty, string string dot empty. Okay, and you can also write null, that is also acceptable, but I'm going to go with string dot empty. Okay, so this model represents our database class. Means our database class will have three properties: id, first name and last name. If you define a field like id or table name person id, so it will automatically create it as a primary key, and it will be an identity column. It means you do not have to create its values. Its values will be generated by the database. So either choose a id or person id, whatever you prefer. I'm just going to use the id. Okay, now we also need to define validation logic. We do not want to insert the invalid data. So first thing I'm going to write here, required. It will import this line, system.componentModel.data annotation. So this field will be not null in the database, and we also have to define here required, not required, sorry, it will be max length of 30 will be enough. And let's do the same here. Okay, so our model is created. Now we need to define the AppDbContext class in the models folder. So let's create a new class, name it AppDbContext. Okay, now we need to install few packages. So I'm going to go here and let's see, ls. So we have to move in a folder where our csproj file resides. So our csproj file is not here, so let's move here, cd backend, let's check ls. So we have our csproj file here. You can use the integrated terminal also. So go here, view, and here terminal, control plus backtick sign, it will open a terminal. Okay, so control backtick, and you also need to visit in the directory where our csproj file resides. You can see our csproj file resides here. You can either use this terminal, and you can either use this terminal. I'm going to use this terminal because it is more visible and it has some large fonts, so I'm going to use this terminal. Okay, so .NET add package, we need to add a new package, and let's name it Microsoft entity framework core SQLite. So this package is needed for our database connectivity, and yes, I'm going to use SQLite in this application because SQLite is a very easy to configure database. It comes with every operating system. You do not need to install it explicitly, so you can create a demo projects with minimal configuration. And one thing is, you can easily swap it with other database, like you can swap it with SQL Server or Postgres, whatever you like. You just need to change the package, and you just need to install another package instead of SQLite. Like if you are using SQL Server, then you have to install this package, and if you are using Postgres, then that package is different. It feels like npg framework core something like that. Okay, so I'm going to choose SQLite, press enter, and it will install a package for us. It will take a while, so let's wait a bit. Okay, we are good. Next package we need, let's remove this word and just type here design. And this package is needed for entity framework tooling. So whenever we are using migration related tooling like .NET Add Migration or .NET Database Update, so this package will be needed there. Okay, after that you need to do one more thing. Let's go here, .NET EF tools, just search .NET EF tools, and here this Microsoft site link, .NET EF tools reference, and you need to install this tool, .NET tool install global .NET EF. So just paste it here. Oops, it is .NET tool installed global -- global. It means this tool is going to be installed globally, .NET EF. So you need to install this tool, but I already have installed it, so I'm not going to install it. So if you want to update it, you can use this command. So I'm just going to update it. Let's see if I am using a latest one or not. Yeah, so it is already installed. It means mine is the latest one. So this tool is used used for the migration commands like .NET EF migration, add and file name. So this command will not work if you haven't installed this tool. Make sure you have installed this tool, and here to verify its installation, just type here .NET EF and you will see a unicorn here, and here the version 9.0.7. so that's it. So that's all about the installation. Now here we need to inherit a base class named AppDbContext, which is inside the Microsoft.Entity Framework core. So AppDbContext is like a gateway to connect with our database. We connect with our database through AppDbContext, and inside the AppDbContext we have some DB sets which we will talk about later. Okay, now we need to define a constructor here. So just type CTOR, press enter, and it will create a constructor. It won't have any parameter. Okay, now inside the constructor we are going to define dbContext options, and type here options, and it is a strongly typed class, so it will take the name of our dbContext class. So just paste it here, and we also need to call the constructor of the base class, the constructor of this dbContext class, and pass the options here. Okay, now we need to define the DB sets here. So prop DB set, name of our class person, and name of property will be people. So DB set represents the table in the database. So we map our table with C# class through the DB set. So we communicate to the database through dbContext, and inside the dbContext we call the DB set. Okay, don't worry about it, you will understand about it in future, so don't worry about it. One thing here, it will create a table in the database with the name people. So if you define here person table, the table name will be person table. Define is person, table name will be person. So I'm going to use people, which is a standard practice to use a pluralized name. Okay, so that's our AppDbContext. Next thing, we need to register it in the program.cs file. So open the program.cs file, and we need to register it here. So builder dot services dot add dbContext, name of our context class AppDbContext. Okay, and here is type options dot use SQLite. Now if you are using SQL Server, then you will have different options here, like use SQL Server, but I'm using SQLite. So here we will define our connection string. So let's find the connection string. So string connection string equals to data source equals to person.db. That's our connection string. We can copy and paste it here. Now we are good, but we do not usually define our connection here. It should not be hard coded. We define it in the app settings so that it is outside from our code, and you can also change it at the runtime without redeploying your application if you have defined it in the app settings. So I'm going to define it in the app settings. So here open the app settings.json, and here we will have a property named connection strings, and let's name it default, and here we will define our connection string. Okay, now how do we access the app settings? So it is easy. Here we just need to type here builder.configuration.get connection string, name of connection string, which is default. We have wrote the name default, and it can be null. So if it is null, then throw new argument null exception, and connection string is null. Now we are done here. Now we have created our model, our contact class. Now how do we create a database? So let's type here .NET EF migrations add name. Name will be initial create. You can use any name, but initial create is more meaningful name. First it will build a project, then it will create a migration file. So we are done here. Let's move to the VS Code, and here you can see a new folder, migrations. In this folder you will see few files like this one. So it is a snapshot of our database. Next thing, this one, basically it's a timestamp and name of our migration. So the name of class will be initial create, and name of file will be the timestamp and underscore initial create, which we have defined here, and the file name will be timestamp underscore initial create, name of the migration file. Okay, so this is the main file. So let's see what is inside it. It have two methods, up and down. So down is basically called when you remove this migration file, and up is called when you use the update database command. Inside the up method, it is calling this method create table. It is creating a table named people with fields like ID, column type integer, it is non-nullable, and it is auto increment field, and next thing is first name, which is a string type, text in the SQLite, max length 30, not nullable. Same with the last name. We also have constraints like primary key, pk people on the ID field. Okay, so now let's run this migration. So if I type here .NET EF database update, it will execute the last migration file, which is initial create. Actually it is the first and last, so it will execute this file. So it is done, and it has lots of logs. So let's go here. First it will create a table with name create table people. So it will create a table people ID, first name last name, and it creates one more table with name underscore EF migration history, which will be somewhere here. So it will create a table underscore EF migration history, it with migration ID and product version. Migration ID is the name of our migration file, which is timestamp underscore initial create in our case, and product version, which is the version of entity framework. You can check it from here. Double click on this project and it will show all the dependencies. We have installed two things, entity framework code design and entity framework .SQLite. So the version is 9.0.7. So product version will be 9.0.7. So it will create two tables. It is saying it has created one more table here, EF migration logs, but it would be deleted in the runtime. Basically we have two tables, migration history and people, and at the end it will insert a row into migration history table. The value will be name of our migration file and the product version, which is the version of EF core and 1.0.7. and it also have created the database. So we can check it here. It has created this database PersonDB. Okay, so let's create our endpoints. So we will create endpoints here in the PeopleController. So just type here private read only, the name of our context class AppDbContext underscore context. Underscore is a naming convention for private fields. Press Ctrl and dot, or just hover here and click on quick fix Ctrl plus dot, and you will see these options. So let's Ctrl plus dot here. Let's press Ctrl plus dot, and here we have more actions. Generate constructor. So it will generate a constructor and it will inject our AppDbContext class into this controller. So this is called setter injection, which is a part of dependency injection. So we are injecting our context class. Now let's create a new endpoint with post endpoint. HTTP post public public, and let's name it person, add person, and person. Okay, now here we will write it must be async and task. Okay, so now we are good. And why we are using async? Because we are going to use asynchronous entity framework core methods. So type here var created person equals to await context offsets underscore context dot people. So as you can see, it is our context class. Now people is our DB set, and we perform operations on the DB sets like add person. At this point of time, our data is added into the context, but it is not saved into the database. So context is like a cache which resides in memory. So our objects right now is in the memory, not in the database. So not use await here, it is not needed. Okay, type here context. Let's remove this line. No, we do not need this line. Okay, we are also fine. Let's type here await context dot save changes. Since this is async method, so we have to call the async one and we have to call the await. So first we add person to the context, which means we are adding it to the in-memory cache somewhere, and when we write this line, it translate it to the database query, and our our row will be created in the database, and at the end we will return a person. It seems good, but we have to define try catch block because it may cause any problem, who knows. So type here try and catch exception ex, and here let's return status, not a status code, return status code, and you can return the status code directly 500 with message ex dot message, and you can also return status codes, which is the enumerable, and you can write 500 internal server error. Okay, right now it is giving error. Let's see what it is. It is saying cannot implicitly convert to this to this because it is not allowed. So we have to use I action result here. Now action result can accept the status code, but now it is giving us error. So let's wrap it inside OK and person. So it will basically return 200 OK status code plus person object in the body, and it will return 500 internal server error status code plus a message in the body, a response body. We can say it more explicitly, and here is response body. So we have successfully written our add person endpoint. So let's execute it. So how do we test this endpoint? We have various ways to use it. Either you can install Postman and you can register it from there, but we have a built-in way to test this. So make sure you have installed an extension, name it REST client. Here it is, REST client by Huachao Mao. Okay, now let's go here and create a new file, a new custom file. Let's name it person dot, let's say person endpoints. Let's make it person.http. That's it. And here we will define a variable. Let's name it base address, and where our application is running. Our application is running http localhost 3000. Now here just type get base address. That's it. And here we should not have the double quotes, otherwise it will give error. Our base API or base URL will be /API/people. Okay, so our base URL is this, and here you can see our route is API/controller and name of controller is people. So the post endpoint will be like this, post and base address API/people. So it will be our post endpoint. It won't be people/add person. It won't be like that. It will be just people API/people. Okay, and all the endpoints should be like this, and it should be pluralized. It should not be person, which is not technically wrong, but it is not a good practice because our API is like a collection, so we always make it pluralized. And one more thing, you can also hard code it like this, people, and you can also use a name of controller, so it will just replace it with the name of controller. With our APIs will be like this, post, then get, then again get. So if we type here 1, so it will get the ID, get the person with ID 1 or 2. Next thing will be get, not get, put, and put endpoint will be like this, people/2, and we will also pass the body, and we will also pass body here, and the last one will be our delete endpoint, and we will not pass body here. So it is the rough structure of all the endpoints. So our first endpoint is put, which is this one. It is created. The next endpoint after that we will create the get one, then we will create this one, then we will create this one, then we will create this one. Okay, so here you can write here accept application JSON, it's totally up to you, but if you won't write it, then it is also okay. Okay, now let's run our application. To run our application, just type here .NET run. As you can see, our application is running at localhost 3000. Let's click here and you will see 405 not allowed. Okay, my bad. We haven't defined any get endpoint. We have just defined the post endpoint, and since it is a post endpoint, we must have type here, content type. It will be a type of data which our API is expecting. Our API is expecting we will send them application/json data and send the JSON data. Just send first name will be our world famous John. Last name will be world famous Doe, John Doe. Basically, we have to match this payload to this this object. Press Ctrl F12 and let's see its definition. We have three properties: ID, first name, last name. ID is not required, so it is not necessary to pass ID here. So basically, in the production APIs, we create separate classes for endpoints, for post or update or get endpoints. Basically, those classes are called DTOs, and those are different from the actual database table. Right now, our object is very simple, our class is very simple. It have only three properties, but if it have multiple properties and some secret properties that you do not want to expose to the external world, then you must have create DTOs. But right now, for the sake of simplicity, I'm not using the DTOs here. Okay, so where we were, we were here. I was talking about this payload should match this object which have these properties: ID, name, ID first name, last name, and ID is not required. So if we don't pass ID, it will automatically set to the 0. Okay, so our project is running. Let's hit this endpoint, and it has created this resource with ID 1, first name, last name. Right now, you might be saying that how this one is getting, how ID 1 is getting, because we passed person here and we did not pass any ID here, and we have written the person that is coming from the client side. So how this ID is present there? So it is automatically created by entity framework, and it will be automatically inserted by entity framework. So entity framework will take care of that. So that's it. Now let's copy this guy and paste it here. First of all, let's stop this project and let's name it to get people, and it won't take any parameters, and it will be http get, and this endpoint will be like API/people, which will be type of get. Okay, now let's remove this line, and here we will write var people equals to await context dot people dot to list async. So it will basically load all the columns and rows from the database. If you want to select a specific rows, so you specific columns, so you have to use select like C, and right here new, something like that. Then you will select the specific columns like c.id, c.firstname. Okay, but we are going to select all the columns and rows. Just return this to OK. Now we are good. I forgot to mention one thing. So when we have executed endpoint earlier, so it has executed the SQL queries, which you can check in the console. So it has executed insert into people, first name, last name, values, and those values are parameterized so that we can avoid the SQL injection returning ID. Here it will return the recently created ID. And let's copy this thing. Let's create it later. So let's run our application. Meanwhile, let's go here. Oops, I have to save it. Let's rerun again. Okay, meanwhile, let's go here and let's copy this thing and paste it here. Just change it to get, and we do not need these two lines. And right now you can see here is send request button, but here is not any send request link. And we have to write here 3 hashes, so it will separate these requests, and send request button is available now, and our application is running. So let's add one more property, sorry, one more record, Jane Doe. Okay, so now we are fine. Okay, so let's copy this thing and let's paste it here. Right now let's change its name to get person async, and its endpoint will be like this, slash people slash 1, which will be a ID, and it will take let's remove async from here, and ID. Oh, this ID will come from here, but our endpoint is not like this right now. For that we have to type some template here, ID, and type is int, or you can leave it, it's totally up to you, or you can define it explicitly, that's totally up to you. And now instead of getting all records, we just have to find person context dot people dot find ID and find async. Okay, and return person. What if someone enters the ID which does not exist in the database? So it will basically return the null object. So we do not want to return null object, we want to be more explicit, we want to inform client that it is null. So for that we will check if person double equals to null, or in the modern syntax we can write if person is null, then return not found. It will basically return the 404 not found status code. And also let's add a name here, and let's name it get single person, or you can name it anything like get person or something. Get person is fine. Why do we need this name? Let me show you one thing. So here we have the add person, and in the add person we are returning 200. Okay, so which is good but not best. We must return 200. Okay, created. It specifically says 201 created. It means we have created a resource. For that we have to return created at root, and name of root, the object values that root needs, and the object person. The name of root will be this one, so just copy that thing. this thing and paste it where it is, here, paste it here. And this root also needs an id parameter, and we will pass that parameter here. id equals to person.id. so it will basically return to level 201 status code plus the location of the resource, which will be typically http localhost 3000 API / people / id. Okay, so let's rerun the application, and meanwhile let's go here and let's copy this line and paste it here. Okay, we are good, and let's see our application is running. Yeah, now it is running. So let's create one more object. Let's name it jd. Okay, and we are done. 201 created, and location and the payload id3 first name Jane. So you can simply run this, copy this and paste it here, and you can see the resource. Okay, now let's work on the put method. So I'm gonna copy this add method and let's paste it here below. Let's paste it, and okay, so we are done. And here just name it update person, and here we need to change. First thing, we need to pass an id which will come from the query parameter, and this one will come from body. So this object will come from body and this one will come from the URL, so it will come from here like this. If we pass 1, we will get 1 here in the id, and let's change it to http put. Since we are also getting id in the URL, so we have to define it here, id int, and it is not necessary but it's good to put it here. Okay, so our put endpoint is defined. One more thing, it is not necessary to pass this id here, but it is a good practice to put an id here. Okay, now here let's type update, okay, and context dot save changes, and we will just return status no content. It means we are just returning 204 status code and nothing in the body. So our update person endpoint is done, but we also need to check few conditions, like if person enters the wrong id. So let's check that. We can check var, let's check here if await context dot people dot any async, and here type p dot id equals to id. If it does not exist, so put a negation sign here. If this record does not exist, we will return not found. It means 404 not found. And one more condition, let's check it above. So let's check if id in the URL and id in the body are same or not. If id doesn't equals to person dot id, then we will return, oops, now we are good, we'll return bad request, and in the bad request let's pass IDs mismatch. let's type it more specifically, id in URL and body mismatches. So it will return 400 bad request plus message in the body. So we are done with update endpoint. So let's check this thing, .net run. Oops. So meanwhile, so let's go here and just copy this thing and type 3 hash, post it here, paste it here, and type put, and here we will have id, let's say 3, and we will also pass an id here like 4. Okay, so first of all, let's check all the records. So we have 3 records, so let's check it. And what is in 400 bad request, it is saying okay, so I was missing a comma here. Now we are good. So it is saying 400 bad request, id in URL and body mismatches. So we are passing 3 in URL and 4 in body. So let's type here 4 4. So it is saying 404 not found and error 40 this thing. Okay, so now let's put the correct id 33, saying JAA DA, doesn't matter. So we are good. So we are done with the put API. So let's copy and paste the same thing here, and let's change it to delete person and remove this thing, and here it should be like delete, and here it must be put anyway. It is a comment, so it doesn't matter what it is here, but it's good to remind you it is a put request. Maybe if you are watching this code in my GitHub repo, then you will reminded that it is a put request. Okay, now here we do not need this thing. Okay, but let's go here. So let's copy these 2 lines from get person by id, and let's paste this thing here. Oops, not here, here in the delete API. First we will find the person. If it is null, then we will return this, and then we will type here remove person and this, and everything will be same. So first find the person. If it is null, return not found, then remove it from the context and make save changes, then return 204 no content status code, and catch will be same for everyone. Let's rerun this application again. And one more thing, you can always check what query it is executing in the terminal. Like in the previous one, it has executed this query, then it has executed this update query. Okay, so it's running now. Let's go here, let's copy only this part, let's paste it here, let's change it to delete, and now let's delete the third record, and it is deleted 204 no content. So anything starting from 2 means it is success, 201 204 200 means success. Anything starting from 4 means it is a client side error like 400 404, and anything starting from 5 like 500 501 means it is a server side errors. Let's delete it again, and you will see now it is not found. It actually does not exist in the database. Oops, I have created one more record. That's okay. Now let's check it here. So we don't have any record with id 3. We had successfully deleted it. We have to do one more thing here. We have to enable CORS request. So what is CORS? CORS means, let's say our server application is listening on localhost 3000, and our client app, which is JavaScript app, is listening on localhost 3 not 3000 5173. There's a port for React. So our client application is listening on this URL and server application is listening on this URL. Let's put HTTPS here, otherwise you will say, hey, where is HTTP? Not as, where is HTTP? HTTP. Okay, so our server app is here, client app is here. If client app will make request to server, it will get an error with CORS. It will get a CORS, CORS, CORS related error. Okay, and it means cross origin request sharing. So for JavaScript application, it is a cross origin request. It is not in the same origin. If it is hosted in 5173, then there won't be any error in the case of JavaScript application, but our server application is hosted on 3000, then it will cause the CORS related error. So we have to configure CORS. So let's go here in the program.cs file, and okay, where is it? Let's go here and let's check CORS in .NET Core. Let's search it, CORS in .NET Core, and here we have this Microsoft site, and here where. So let's copy this line in the program.cs. So let's copy here above the builder. It doesn't matter wherever you want to copy, just copy it. Okay, now copy this line and just paste it here. You can paste it anywhere, so let's paste it here. Okay, now it is saying on one more thing, one more line we need to take care of. We also have to register in the middleware section. So let's say where it is saying above the map controllers. Okay, so just paste it here, and its order matters. Always check that where it is. It have mentioned somewhere here, so read the documentation. Right now we don't have much middleware, so it won't cause any problem. So we have configured our middleware, but our CORS, but here it is saying that this this API will be consumed by this site and this site, and if you just write here asterisk, it means it will be consumed by every site, or if you type here allow any origin, then it is also the same, it can be consumed by every site. So we can also type this specific URL here like http localhost 5173. it will be the URL of our React application, so this thing will only accessible to this URL. Okay, now let's type here allow any method, otherwise only get method will be allowed, but we also need to execute put, delete and post method, so we need to mention it here. So let's put this okay, so let's remove this dot from here and copy it here. Okay, now type here allow any header. It is not needed right now, but it's good to define it like suppose you want to pass a custom header like xpagination, then it won't allowed because we haven't configured this line. So if you want configure this line and pass this custom header, you will get error. That's why I am using allow any header. Hope we are good. So let's run this application again. Okay, so let's wait. It's taking a while. Oh, okay, so we are good now, and let's execute this application, test this application again. Here the fifth one is also created. Let's delete the fifth one. Okay, let's delete the fourth one. Okay, let's check it. 1 2 fine, 1 fine, put will also be fine. I'm not going to check it. Okay, so we are done with the API part. Now we will work on the front end part. So let's close this thing, close this thing. So this is the terminal where our backend application is running, and we do not need to close this terminal because we need this application running. Let's minimize it and let's go the folder where we have created our backend application. In this folder, we are going to create a new client application. So just right click here, open it in terminal, and oops, it is here. Okay, now let's type here npm create @latest, and it will create a new Vite project for us. So yeah, and now we need to enter the project name. So I'm going to name it just client. You can name it anything, it's totally up to you. Now select the React. Now select JavaScript, just plain JavaScript. Okay, now it is saying cd client. Now we need to visit to cd client. Okay, and after that we need to run this command npm install. Okay, so let's type here npm install, and it will install all the related dependencies. So that's it, and it will take a while. So we are done here, and now we can open this project in VS Code. So type here code dot, and it will open in the VS Code. Now we can close this terminal, we do not need it anymore. And as you have noticed that I have changed the theme of VS Code for the client application. Let's zoom in. Nah, that's fine. Okay, now we have few files here like vite.config.js, and it is the Vite configuration file, which is a JavaScript bundle that bundles our JavaScript file. And this one is readme md. Basically it is not needed, so I am going to delete this thing. Now package.json file, in this file we have defined our dependencies. Like it have two dependencies, React and React DOM, and we have few dev dependencies, and these dependencies means these files are, or these packages are not going to be shipped to the production. So only these two packages will be shipped to the production file. Now we have some scripts like dev, and dev have this command Vite, and this Vite build command has name build and then lint means ESLint dot and preview Vite preview. Okay, and here name client private true version this and type module. We also have this package lock dot json, and in this file we have dependencies of the dependency. So these dependencies have further dependencies which are defined here. Now we have this index.html file, and it is the main file, and this file run first. Whenever we run this application, this file will run first. And here it have this div with id root, and here it will load the script file, and we will talk about it later. So first let's see what it is. It's just config file for ESLint. Now we have this gitignore file, and let's copy all of the content of gitignore file, and let's go here. And you do not need to follow this step if you are not using Git. So I have to put this project in the GitHub so that you can get some source code. That's why I am using the gitignore file. Now in the gitignore file, let's type React files, and just copy these things here. Okay, now let's delete this git ignore. We do not need two git ignores. And here we have this public folder which have the svg icon. It is basically our wheat icon, and node modules. So these are the files that downloads when we write the command npm install, and these are the dependencies of the projects that are downloaded or that are copied here. Now we have this src folder, and in this src folder we have our main files, like we have our component and css file and etc etc. Okay, now how to run this application? So open the terminal. That's good. Now let's go here in the package section, and you will see we have few scripts. So we are going to run this script named dev. To run this script, just type here npm run dev. That's it. And let's close this guy, and our application is running in 5173. So press Ctrl and click from the mouse, and it will open here. So as you can see, we have this Vite plus React application, and it is an interactive application. Okay, now we have this index.html file. So it is the file that runs first, and in this file this script is loaded. It is a main.jsx. So let's go here in this rc folder and main.jsx. Main.jsx loads this component named app, and it loads this component in this element root. So we are getting this element by id root, and it is defined here in the index.html file, this one. So we are basically loading our script in this root, not script, or components in this element. Okay, now where is it? Here. Now let's talk about this app, and in this app we have defined everything that is showing here. So let's delete this thing, and now you can see there is nothing. Let's delete this thing. Let's delete everything, and let's go here and let's search React, and this one ES7 plus React Redux. You need to install this extension, so please install it. Then after that you can have shortcut of few things, like if you type here RFC, so it will create functional component of React. If you type RAFC, then it will create this ES6 function, and if you type RAFCE, it creates a ES6 function, and it types here export default. So let me show you one more time. RAFCE, press enter, and it will create a component for us. So it is our app component. Okay, you can see here it is showing app, and it is the index.css. So we just need to remove everything from it. So this CSS file is a global CSS file. If you define anything here, that will be applied to every component. And we also have specific CSS files which for the app.jsx, which is this one. So let's copy. Okay, let's delete this thing. Okay, so let's delete, we do not need it. Now we just have here main.jsx, index.css, and assets. So assets also have a few files like images, and here we have defined our React svg. Okay, so let's type here h1, and let's say hello. Let's see, it's hello here, and if I type here p and hello again, you will see we have error because we cannot define two elements. For that, either you can wrap it inside a div, that is fine, or you can just remove it and use this. So here is not div, it's just a placeholder, and here you can define two elements or multiple elements together. Okay, and one more thing, if you install this extension rename and auto rename, if you install this extension, it will be handy, because if I type here div, it will automatically rename the whole element. If I type here h, then you can see it is changed. So that's our app.component. Okay, now let's go to the desktop and let me copy this thing and paste it here. Okay, now you can get this folder from the source code, and you can see these files and even download this file from the source code, so don't worry about that. Okay, now let's copy. First you need to download this folder, resources folder, from the repository that I will provide you. Now I'm going to copy this thing and I am going to paste it here in the client, in the source, not source, here in the public folder, and it is a person. Now let's go to the index.html file, and here we will have a favicon section. Where is it? Here, image slash svg plus xml, and let's change it to person.svg. That's good. And let's change it to person app. Let's see how it's looking. So here you can see person app, and here we have this icon, it's called favicon. Okay, now open the resources folder, and we have a bunch of files here. So first we are going to create a navbar. Before creating a navbar, we need to create few components and pages. So in this src folder, create a new folder and name it pages. Create one more folder and name it components. Okay, now in the pages, let's create a new file and name it home.jsx. Make sure the name of component is capitalized. However, it does not give error if it is a small h, but it is a good practice to make it in the initial letter capital. Okay, so just type here rfce and it will create a home component for us, and the name of component should be in a capital, initial capital letter, init cap. If I just type here home, so it will probably give error. So our home component is created, home page. Now we'll create about.jsx, JSX. Okay, and just type here rfce, and our about page is done. Now we also need a not found page, so not found.jsx rafce. Let's remove this line, we do not need it. Okay, now we will create a component. So I'm going to create a new folder, name it person, and inside this folder we are going to create a new component named person.jsx. Okay, and one more, PersonForm.js. Oops. Where is it? JSX. And then we also have PersonList.jsx. Okay, and we also need to define a new component in the components folder, not in the person folder, and name it navbar.jsx. And let's type here, where is it? RAFCE, and our navbar is created. We have created a bunch of components and pages. So now let's open that file, navbar.txt, which I have opened earlier, and I have designed a navbar and other components too. So for that we need to install we just need to install Tailwind, because I'm using Tailwind CSS in this project. So let's type here Tailwind CSS. Okay, go to tailwindcss.com, and here let's go to the docs and using Vite, this section using Vite. So first it is saying create projects, which we have already created. Now let's install this thing. Not here. Here, open the terminal, open new terminal here. Okay, and let's paste that command. Let's enter it. Meanwhile it is installing. Let's go here, and we need to import few things in the vite.config.cs file. First copy this line and open the vite config.js file and paste this thing here. Okay, and just paste this thing here too. So paste this thing here. Okay, now we are done in the Vite config, and it is saying import Tailwind CSS. Open the index.css file. Here it is, import tailwind.css. That's good. And we also need to install one more package. It is installed now. So type npm install Lucide icon. I guess it's Lucide icons. Let's check here. LUCIDE Lucide icons, lucide.dev, guide, packages. We have packages for Lucide React, and we can install Lucide React. So just install it with npm install Lucide React. Just copy this thing, and here, not here, here, Lucide React. You can see npm installed Lucide React. So let's install this thing. Okay, so it is installed, and our application running is another terminal. So let's stop this by pressing Ctrl C, and let's rerun it. npm run dev. Okay, now let's go here and let's copy this navbar thing, and it is a whole React component, so we can paste. It is our navigation bar, and the Lucide React is used for our icons. So basically you can just write this, import menu x, menu and x, and you can use these icon menu x somewhere. It must be somewhere. Let's just search menu They must be somewhere, so don't worry about it. Okay, so this is our navbar, and here we have some JavaScript code like this is menu open and set is menu open. It is basically used for creating a hamburger menu, and this site is also a responsive site, so that's why we have created this is menu open and set is menu open. And this thing is active link is used for the active link. Let's close this thing and let's go here. Let's check our application, and okay, now what to do, let's close this thing and open the app component app.jsx, and let's remove all of this junk and call navbar, and we need to import it. import navbar from components slash navbar, and it must be small b. Now we are fine, and let's see is it working or not. Okay, as you can see our navbar is created. Let's shrink this and you can see it is completely responsive. Okay, now let's also call the person. Okay, let's not call this thing here, we'll call it later. Now let's work on routing. For that we need to use React router, not React, React router. So let's open this documentation. Meanwhile, let's go here and let's install a package npm install. Either you can write install or you can just write I, both are fine. npm I, name is React router DOM. Press enter. Meanwhile it is installing. Let's go here in the docs section, and here it is saying it has 3 ways to create a router. First, declarative, data, and framework. So declarative is the most basic one. Then we have data, which have some few more features above the declarative, and we have framework that have few more features above data and declarative. So for basic usage, declarative is fine, so click on the declarative, and in the declarative section it is saying create a Vite app, which we already have created. Then install npm I React router, but we have installed its specific package like React router DOM, so both are similar, and we are going to choose more specific package like React router DOM, so you do not need to install it now. We already have installed React router DOM. Now we have to copy this browse router and open the, let's close this thing, and open the main.jsx file, and here we just need to wrap our app component inside the browse router. And this strict mode is defined just for the development mode. Okay, now browse router, so we also need to import it, and let's copy this import statement and paste it here. That's good. Now we are done with main.jsx file. In the main.jsx we need to wrap app component inside this browser router, and we need to add this import statement, import browser router from React router. Okay, now let's go to the next section, which is routing, and go here in this larger section. Just copy these things and open the app. Oh, it's already opened. So just paste this thing here, and I'm going to delete this. Okay, now its index means our root element, which is home, and we need to import home from pages/home. That's good. We also need to import about, and after about we need to import not found. Yes, it's not found. Okay, not found, not downed. And our last one is person component. Okay, so this one will come from component slash person. You can type also JSX, which is fine, and without JSX is also fine. Now it's not found, and it's about, and it's home. It's already home. Okay, now this one is about. Next one is person. It will be person, and we will also have a wildcard route. Let's type here not found and just type asterisk. So if someone enters a route that is not exist in our routing table, then it will redirect us to the not found page. Okay, so let's go here and let's see. Oops, it is giving us the requested mode src app component person.jsx does not provide the exported name default. Oops. src component person.jsx. Let's say person.jsx. Oops, so we do not have anything here. rafce, and let's delete this thing. An error in app component. Consider adding error boundary to your tree, blah blah blah. Okay, and it is happening because we did not have defined routes. Okay, here we are using routes, but we haven't using any import statement. Let's close this thing first, and let's see here. Let's copy this line and paste it here, and just remove browser router. We do not need it here. Import routes and route from React router. So I guess we should be fine now. Okay, we are absolutely fine. We do not have any error now. So if I just visit to this route, it will throw us in the home component. If I go here about person, everything is working fine because in navbar I already have defined routes, like this one for base, and this one for base means home, this one slash about for about, and this route is defined here about, then it will load this. If I type slash person, then it will load person element. I also define this route here slash person. So I already have defined this path, but right now you are seeing a problem here. It is reloading the page and it is not a good experience for the single page application. We also have this navigation thing here. Either we can use either we can use the link instead of anchor tag, but link have some limited features. We also need a feature of active, like this link is active, then this link will be highlighted like the home page. Right now home page is active, so home link is highlighted. We need this functionality, so we need the nav link. So okay, and just go here and just copy this thing, import nav link from React router, and here instead of a you can type nav link. Just copy this thing, paste it here too, and here we have our mobile menu button, means these are the buttons of hamburger, and we also have some anchor tags here. Okay, here it is, nav link, nav link, nav link. Okay, let's close this thing, and oops, it is not working. Check it right now. We are in home. Okay, I get it. Why is it not working? So with nav link we have to write here 2. Okay, so just copy this href, find and replace it with 2, nav link to person. Okay, so I guess we are fine now. Yes, person about home. Let's shrink this thing, and about person home. We are fine now. We also need to take care of this active link. Right now we have hard coded the value of active link, which is home. That's why home is always active. So we need to remove this thing, and we need to go here and we can search it somewhere like here. Style is active. We need this thing. Okay, so let's go here, class name, not here, here we will convert it to a function, and here we can type is active and just copy this is active and replace active link with is active. Copy and paste it. Now it is saying is active, and remove this home. Let's see, is everything working or not? Oops, it's not working, and active link is not defined. Okay, we have removed active link, so let's put that active link again. Const active link equals to home. Okay, now it's fine, so we will remove it now. Just copy class name, not from here, yeah, class name to this, and go here and copy from class name to this backtick sign. So just remove this thing and paste our thing here, is active, and change it to is active. Oops, not from here, from here is active. Okay, and just paste this thing here, and is active. Okay, let's go to the mobile section, and here is our links. So class name, and just replace this thing. Okay, and here just replace it with this. Okay, I forgot to write here is active, is active. And here is active, and just remove this thing and paste this thing here. I guess we are fine. Okay, now you can see our active links are also changing. Okay, so we are done with our navbar, so we can close it. That's it. Now we need to work on the person.jsx file. First, let's go here in PersonForm, then go into the person list. So first go here in the resources section, and we have this PersonForm. So let's go and copy everything from here. Okay, and PersonForm, let's paste this thing here, and it is all basically it's just a form, nothing fancy, and there is not any programming defined. It's just plain HTML. Why I have defined a whole component, not just HTML file? Because in React we cannot write this thing class. Instead of class we have to write class name, and if it is a HTML, if it were a HTML, then you have to replace all class with class names. So to save some time, I already have created this component. It's just a HTML component, or not HTML component, basically it's a React component without any function, without any programming functionality, just a plain form. And we also need just a plain person list. So just copy everything from here and paste everything here, and open this thing person, copy everything from here and paste everything here. And now you can see I have called these things. So let's remove these two things, PersonForm and PersonList. We are basically calling two components here. So person will be our parent component, and it will have two childs, PersonForm and PersonList. Okay, and we must define these things here. PersonForm from that's it, they are in the same directory, so /PersonForm. So let's go here, and you can see we have this home, about, and person component, and here we have defined this form with first name, last name, and this save button, reset button, and we have this table with first name, last name, actions, and it's just a demo row, and no people found when we don't have any data. So our skeleton is created. Now we will work on these things after that. Now let's work on this person list component. We will display some dummy data here. Okay, so here let's create an array. Let's name it people equals to, will be an array of persons. So first will be ID1, then we will have first name, let's name it anything, John. Last name will be Doe, and copy these things here, just change it to 2, 3, and name it John 1, Doe 1. It's just dummy data. Okay, Doe 2, John 2. Okay, now this array is in the person component, and we need to pass it to the person list component. So how do we do that? For that we have things called props. So we will write here people, and it will be the name of our props, and here we will pass the name of, not name of, we will pass the prop here. Our prop is people, and this name should be similar, this name should be matched to this name. The people, if it is people list, then it must be people list. Okay, so let's change it to people list. Okay, now here in the people list we will pass the array which we have defined here, people. So let's pass it here, people. Okay, and now we have our people list here, so we can loop over it. Okay, so let's loop over it here. Where is it? Okay, here. So we need to loop over this dr component. So how do we loop that? First of all, let's put these braces here. Now type PeopleList dot map person, and in this person let's copy this thing, not copy, cut this thing. Oops, where is it? From here to here, cut this thing and type person, just paste that thing there. Now we are good, and make sure we have some unique keys for our row. So type here key and person.id. In this way, all the rows have some unique keys. Next thing, let's display the first name here. So let's type person dot first name. Now here person dot last name, and here we will have some buttons, and here we will define some methods. So we will do it a little bit later. Let's go here, and you can see we have, oh, where is our first name? For the first name, why is it not showing? Let's go here, maybe, yeah, it says typo. Okay, so we are fine now, and let's work on this no people found. So this thing will display on one condition. If person list dot length is less than 1, then we will display this thing, and we will display this thing, type here, and okay, now it will display only when we don't have any records in person. Okay, now we should work on edit and delete functionality. So let's go here in the edit section and type here on click, and we will call a method name on edit on, let's name it on person edit, and let's pass the person object here, and just copy this thing and do the same with this delete person. So let's copy it here and just change to on person delete. So right now we need to define these methods, but we do not need to define this method in person list, rather we will call them here. So for that we are again going to use props on person edit on person delete. Let me check if they are in camel case or not. Yeah, they are in camel case. Okay, so this O will be small o and this O will be small o. Now we have defined these methods here, these are props, so we must call them here on person edit and on person delete. And now let's call the actual functions for them. Handle person edit and handle person delete. Now we need to define those things here. So let's define const handle person edit equals to, and it will take an object person, because we are also passing an object here. You can see here we are passing an object, so it will also take an object person. And let's just log it in the console.log person. That's fine, and just copy this thing and paste this thing here and change it to person delete. And let's add a functionality here. If not means not sign, if confirm are you sure to delete a person. Let's type here its name, person dot first name and person dot last name, and I forgot to write a not negation, $sign here. If when you click on the delete button, it will execute this method and it will ask through the confirmation box, are you sure to delete this person? If you press OK, then it will not execute this block. If you press OK, then it will skip this condition, otherwise it will go here. If you are sure to delete a person, then you will go here, otherwise you will go here. So why go here? Just type return. If you are not sure to delete a person, then press cancel and we will return from here. And if you press yes, then we will go to this section. Okay, now let's see, is it working fine or not? Let's open our console and let's see edit. It's not working. Delete, yeah, delete is working. Why edit is not working? Let's see. We have on click method, on edit, on person edit. Okay, on person edit is here, and here handle on person edit, handle person edit, and we have handle person edit. So why is it not working? Let me figure out why is it not working. And I messed up here. I have put this on click method in the icon, not in the actual button, so I need to put it here. Now I guess we are good. So let's check it. Okay, now in the edit we are getting this thing, and on delete, see, we are getting it. So we have defined our person list component. Now we can close it. We do not need it. So this person component will be our parent component. It is a smart component. In this component we will interact with database, and these two are the dumb component. So they don't know anything about data interaction. Their job is just to display data and submit form. Okay, so let's test few conditions. Let's go here and let's empty this array. Now you can see here it is showing this header but not showing no data found, something like this. So let's go here in person list, and here it should be equals to 0. Okay, I think I am wrong here. Person list, it is not person list. Okay, let's see what it is. It's people list. And people list, and you can see no people found. Even it is fine less than 1, it means it's 0, but equals to 0 is more fine. Now we can see we have no people found, but we still have this header. So this header shouldn't be shown when we don't have any data. So what to do in that case? Let's go here and let's go here in this section, and we will check if person list dot why it is person list, people list dot length equals to 0, and we will check one more condition. Oh, sorry, not here in the return, here. Okay, and we need to check one more condition. If someone has passed person list array as null, what if it is null? Then we will check if person list people list. If people list is null, I have put a negation sign here. If person list or people list is null or its length is 0, then do this. And do what? Display this thing. Let's delete this thing from here. Okay, and let's move it here, and we will return this thing. Okay, now we are good. Otherwise it will return this thing. So you can see now no people found, and when we have people, then we can show this thing. Okay, so we are done with this person list component. So let's close this thing. Now let's work on the person form. Let's close this thing and open person form. Say we have form or not. Where is it? Form. So we don't have any form here, so let's make it form first. Let's make the second one form. This is first, this is second, so let's make it form. And I'm using auto rename tags. So here you can see we also have this form closing form tag. And React does not have built-in nice way to submit form. Yeah, you can submit form, but it is not that much nice and not much straightforward. So now we are going to use open source library, and we are going to use React hook form. Let's search this thing and let's go to its documentation, and here let's go to get it started. Okay, let's go to this thing, JavaScript part. Now let's go here in the person form and just type like this: const register and handle submit from use const where is it, const, and it is called destructuring, and right here use form. And oops, let's comment this thing, and I forgot to mention, I forgot to install this library. So we also need to install this thing. So just copy this, npmi react hook form, npmi react hook form. Okay, it is installed, and let's go here, here register handle submit this thing. So let's remove this thing and go here, just copy this thing and paste this thing here. Okay, and here use form from react hook form, and we do not need this watch, we just need register handle submit perform state errors for handling errors. Okay, now here in the form section we have this on submit method, which is HTML on submit method. Now you can just call this on submit method handle submit, and it will also call a method. Let's name this method on form submit, and let's create that method here, const type here handle, okay, not handle submit, on form submit, and equals to, it will take some parameters like data, and we can log this thing here, console dot log data. This handle submit method validate our form before even submitting the form. Okay, now let's go here and here we will call this thing here register, and here the name of our field, which is first name. So let's copy this thing and paste this thing here. I will show you what I am doing here. Input type equals to hidden, and I need a hidden field name ID for the edit form or edit person data. I'm not going to create two form, one for edit and one for submit. Rather, I will create a single form and do with that. Let's go here. This is first name, now it's last name, and here again just go here register, and this will be last name, and we can remove this junk. We do not need it now. We can also remove it from here, but yeah, it is not there. I guess we are good now. Let's go here in the person app and let's press F12, and here type F and N, and you can see first name F, ID blank, and last name is N. Okay, so our form is working, but we do not have applied any validation here. We will do it later. First of all, let's add some default values to the form. It will come handy later, so I'm gonna type here const default form values equals to an array, not array, an object ID. Let's say it's 0, and first name it's blank, last name it's blank, and we can pass this default form values here in the use forms. It will have default values, and we can pass default form values to it. Let's see, is it working fine or not. So let's open the console, AABBB and AABBB. That's fine. Okay, so let's work on the validation part. As you can see, we have this thing errors and dot example required and this. Let's go here in the handle error section, and you can get more details here. Like here is one. First we have to define this validation rule, so we will go here and here we will define options like required, and required means true. This field is required, and we also have max length, and max length will be 30. Okay, and same thing goes here in the last name, so copy this thing and paste here in the last name. Okay, now where is it? Here it is. We can type here braces. Let's type here, okay, errors dot first name dot type equals to required. If its type is required, then copy this thing and paste it here. So let's go here and let's check it. Now it's gone. Okay, you can see first name is required. So I'm gonna copy this thing and paste this thing here, and we can change it to max. Max LENGTH, and you can say first name cannot exceed 30 characters. So let's enter here something, and you can see it's 30, not 20. 30 characters. Now we are good, and let's copy these things, go here, let's paste these things here, and instead of first name it will be last name, heroes.last name, heroes.last name, and here it will be last name, and it will be last name. So let's this, you can see last name is required, and last name cannot exceed 30 characters. Okay, so you can see A. So we are done with our form. Now what we need to do, we need all these logic into our parent form. So how do we do that? First of all, let's copy this line and paste it here. Okay, and where is it? Yeah, this thing. Let's copy these things. Where is it? Here. Let's copy this thing here. Okay, and let's type a prop here, methods, and let's type here methods. Okay, now what we will do with this remaining thing, use form, we are gonna move this thing here in the person component. Oops, here const, let's name it methods equals to use form default values, and these are the default form values, and we also have defined use form here. Okay, now we need to pass this methods thing to the person form. So up here methods equals to methods. Okay, now let's check it. Let's enter some values into form, ABBCCC. Let's see, is it working? Yeah, ABBCCC. So now we have moved our submit method to the parent component. Now this component is really dumb. So here let's move one more thing on form reset. Okay, and this method will be called on from this button, which is called reset button. So type here on click equals to on form reset, and we also need to define this method here, on form reset equals to handle form reset, and let's define this method here. Okay, where is it? Let's define it here, not here. Let's just define it somewhere here. Const handle form reset equals to, and it won't take any parameters, and we will do here methods dot reset and default form values. So it will reset our form. Okay, so let's see, you can see our form is reset. So we have worked on form reset. So I have noticed that I have defined this form submit method here. I also need to export it to the person.jsx file. So let's copy this thing and paste this thing here, and let's remove this thing. Let's copy this thing and paste this thing here, and let's just name it handleFormSubmit, handleFormSubmit, and we will pass this method here on form submit, on form submit equals to handleFormSubmit. Let's see, is it working? exactly fine or not. Okay, so it is working. Now I think finally our form is become a PersonForm is become a dumb component, and we can leave it as it is. We do not need it now, so let's close it. Now we don't have any work with form component and with PersonForm component and PersonList component. Now I want that if I click on this form will automatically be filled. Right now it is not happening, so let's go here and let's do this. Where is it? Handle person edit. Okay, before that let's move it here on the top. Okay, and let's type here const edit data comma set edit data equals to use state, and it is a state use state hook. Let's make it null, and we also need to use state here. It is automatically added. Okay, so it is edit data and it is set edit data. You can name it anything like submit edit data something, but it is a recommended practice. Edit data and set edit data means variable then set variable. Its name should be like this. It is recommended but not mandatory. Okay, now what we'll do here, here we'll define an effect. So I'm gonna type here use effect, and it will add this thing here, use effect from React, and in the use effect method we will call this function, and in this array we will pass edit data. So whenever the change has happened in edit data, it means someone has changed the edit data, this method will be triggered. So what we will do in this method, we will call this set edit data method, and here just let's name it person will be more fine. Let's create here. Oops, it does not make any sense. It should not be called from here. My bad, sorry. It should be called from this handle person data, and when someone click on edit button, this method will be called, and we will pass this person into a set edit data, and at this moment we set the edit data field, and when that edit data field will be set, it will immediately call this method use effect, and when this method is called, we will type here methods dot reset, and we will set value edit data. Let's see, is it working or not? So let's see. Yeah, you can see John Doe 1, John Doe 2, and we make it reset. Okay, now let's go to the submit form. Where is it? Handle submit form, and let's just check here if data, and let's name it person makes more sense. Person, if person dot id is less than 1, then it will edit. So we will type here console dot log edit, otherwise we will write here else console dot log add. Sorry, it will be add if its id is less than 1, and if its id 1, we can also type here less than equals to 0. If its id is 0, then it means we are adding it, and if id is greater than 0, then we are editing it. Let's check this scenario and open the, no, it's not this, open the terminal console, sorry, not terminal. Let's type here something, and you can see add. Okay, let's reset the form, and let's go here and submit the form. You can see edit. Okay, now make this thing also a state, so our people will be now this people, and let's add here set people. Okay, and here we will type use state, and it will be our default state. Okay, let's see, is it working? It is working absolutely fine. Later we will load this data from the API. For now we will let it as it is for the testing purpose. Now let's see what we can do. By here in the handleFormSubmit method, here we will call set people. It can also have the previous data, so let's say we have this previous person, and here we will just spread it previous person comma person. Now we are adding some data to this people array. Let's see, A, B, you can see we have A, B, B. Let's add it again, and now we will get the error of keys because we are adding two values with the same key. We cannot make key unique right now, but our add functionality is working absolutely fine. So let's refresh this thing, and let's go here in the edit section. Let's remove this, not let's remove this, we will remove it later. And here we can type set people, and here previous people or person, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And here what we will do, previous people dot map. Okay, and p dot id equals to person dot id, then we will return person, otherwise we will return id. Let's see, is it working or not? Let's see, John Doe. Let's name it John Doe to Mike. Let's name something Mike Tyson. Let's save it. Oops, and it is saying that id is not defined, so let's see what it is mean. I guess here, okay, here it should not be id, it should be p. Okay, now let's see, let's refresh this thing, and let's say John Doe. Let's type here John E, and you can see it's edited. Now at the end we also have to reset our form, so let's where methods dot reset and default form values. Let's go here, let's 111 and you can see it is edited now, A, B, and we can add. The form is clear, it is now added. Let's define the delete functionality also. So where is it? Let's copy this thing here, and where is it, or delete, handle delete, and let's remove this thing and paste this thing here. Previous, oops, not this one. Okay, forget about it. Let's define it by our own hand. Previous person dot map filter, and here p dot id doesn't equals to id, and id is not here, person dot id. Now we are fine. So let's try to delete this guy, and you can see it is deleted. Now let's add one more package, one more library. Its name is React Hot Toast. Let's go here, and It's an easy one. So let's go here in the do we have any documentation here? It's to use blah blah blah. Let's go to the GitHub. Let's see it has what it has. Okay, now here we have these commands. So we are going to use this npm command, npm install react hot toast. Let's just paste this here, react hot toast. Meanwhile it is installing. Let's go here and getting it started. To get it started, we just have simply add this thing toaster, and it is installed, and we have to put this thing in our app.jsx file somewhere. So let's add it here in toaster, and just add this line here, okay, and remove this thing. Okay, we are good now, and just go here and let's put this thing here also. Okay, and remove this toaster thing from here, put toast from here, and where it is here, the submit. Let's put a try catch block here. So in the VS Code, if I select all of this text and type here try catch, it will automatically put this into a try block. And we also need a finally block, which I will tell you later when we will do a loading state. Okay, now here we will just write toast dot success, and we will write here saved successfully, and here we will write toast dot error, and error has occurred. Do the same thing here in the delete section. So let's put it in the try catch block, and here just type deleted successfully, and here type here success dot error, error on deleting. Let's go to the full documentation, and here you can see blah blah blah, and in the toast section we can find this toast dot success and toast dot error. Okay, now we are good. So let's go here, let's add something AC, and you can see saved successfully. Let's delete this guy, and you can see deleted successfully. Now we are good so far. So I guess we are done with our UI thing. Now we should work on data. Now we will submit these things into the database, and we will load this thing in from the database. Now let's create an environment file. Okay, so for that we need to double click here and type env Make sure your file is in the root directory, means inside this client folder, not inside this src folder. And the env file contains our secret files, or like base URLs or some configuration. You can have multiple env files, like one for production, one for development, and make sure you put this env file in git ignore, because if your repository is public repository and you don't want to expose this env file, that might contain some sensitive information. But I'm not going to ignore it from the git, I'm going to put into the GitHub so that you can get when you are accessing this code. That's why I am keeping it in the GitHub, but make sure when you are working in production, leave this file from the GitHub and make this entry in the gitignore file. Now here we are gonna enter base URL, base API URL. Since this project is made by Vite, so we must write here this prefix Vite underscore, otherwise it won't work. And here we will copy our URL, this one, just paste it here. Okay, and just add API in the end and we are good. Now how to access this thing here? Say we have const base URL equals to import dot meta dot env dot name of that constant. So just copy this thing and paste it here. So let's see we are fetching a correct one or not. So let's go here and let's just type here base URL and let's see here. You can see we have this base URL. It means we are absolutely fine. Now we need to interact with our HTTP APIs. For that we need to install a library called Axios. You can also use fetch APIs, that is totally up to you, but I'm going to use Axios in this project. So just go here and type npm install or just I, both are fine, Axios, press enter. Okay, it's installed. Now we can close this thing. So what we are going to fetch first, let's load this people data first. So how we load this thing? Right now it is hard coded, so let's remove this and our list must be empty right now. Okay, now we will load this thing. For that we are going to use this use effect hook, use effect. Okay, and here we will have a method, and if I leave it like this, then this code block is going to be executed on every render, but we do not want that. For that we just type here the empty array. It means it will only render on the mount. It means when this component is loaded for the first time. Let's type const load people, and here we are going to define a method. And why we are doing this, we can directly write these things without method, but we are using the async method here, so we cannot directly write async await code here. So we are going to just do some hack, and we are going to create this method here, and we are going to call this method here and put this thing inside the try catch block. And we need finally also, which we will see later why do we need finally. And we have here somewhere here error. Let's log the error also, console.log error. So let's copy this thing and paste it here. Now we are done here, and here we will retrieve some data. So var people data equals to await Axios. If I press enter, it will add this import statement here, import Axios from Axios. If your if your Visual Studio Code is not importing automatically, sometimes it does not, then you need to import it manually. So yeah, Axios dot get, and here we will just type base URL, that's it. And we also need to extract its data, so let's type here data. Now we have retrieved this data. We need to set it here inside this people, so we are going to call this set people method and just pass the people data. Let's see, is it working or not? Okay, so what is happening here? Load people is not defined. Okay, it should be here. Request failed, 404 not found, and okay, I get it. Our URL should be like this, API, and after that API we will have people. Okay, so this thing gives us http colon dash dash localhost 3000 / API, and we also need to append people to it. Let's see. Okay, so we are good. It has loaded 2 records and we are good. Now let's work on one more thing here. Let's create one more state and name it const loading set loading equals to use state. By default, let's make it true, and here in this block let's make it set loading. Okay, it's already true, so we do not need to define it here. And in the finally section we will type set loading false. Okay, and let's go here, let's copy this thing and find more finallys. Here we also have this finally, and we must have one more finally for the delete method. Okay, where is it? Okay, finally set loading false. Okay, then we must set this set loading true in the delete method, also in the submit method. Let's paste it here, and that's it. Okay, so we also need to display this loading thing, so let's display it here below this h1. So let's type p and right here loading and display p and type here loading, and we should remove this p from here, we do not need it. Okay, so you might see it for just a while. It is not showing, so we are good so far. Now let's create person. Okay, so let's remove this guy, and here we will write const created person equals to await Axios dot post, and here base URL, since it is await, then we must type here async. Okay, now let's copy this thing, paste it here, and it won't work like that. We need to extract this data, so right here, data, and same thing here. Let's copy this thing, paste this thing here, and we do not need the data here, so leave this part. And we also need to pass an ID here, so we just need to modify it a bit. Copy this thing and also type here person.id, and just type here data, or not data, person. We also need to post some data, and just copy this thing and paste this thing here. We also need to post data, URL data, URL data. Okay, I guess we are fine. So let's add a b and saved successfully, a b. Let's edit a1 b1, error occurred. Okay, that's good. 405 not allowed, because here we should have done something bad. Here it must be put. Let's go here and edit. Let's close this guy, a1 b1, and you can see saved successfully, and loading also appeared for a while, for a moment. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, it is appearing somewhere here. Is rendering too fast, so we are not able to see it. Okay, so let's work on the delete also. So I'm going to copy this line and I'm going to paste it here in the delete, handle delete over here before this thing. Let's paste this thing here, delete Axios.delete, it's await, so let's put an async here. Okay, so here let's remove this data, Axios.delete base URL person.id. Okay, so let's delete this thing and we are done. So let's rerun our application. So it is running now, and let's add a value. Let's add something, Mike Tyson. You can see loading. Yeah, so our loading functionality is working just fine, and we have completed our application. If you find this video helpful, then please hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe this channel to get more videos like this. That's it for now. See you next time.